Good day everyone, I'm Ed Trifalray and I'm here to discuss my topic strategic capacity planning for product and service. So, what is capacity planning? So, capacity, if we see the meaning of capacity, it is the upper limit ceiling on the load that operating unit can handle. Or in other terms, it is the maximum amount of products of one company can produce. And the goal is to achieve a match between the long-term supply capabilities of an organization and the predicted level of long-run demand. It is like predicting the point of capacity where it meets the demand of the people and makes more profit as possible. And now, in the making of capacity planning, there are questions that are needs to be answered. The first question is what kind of capacity is needed? It simply means that in a specific kind of production in a company, what does a company need? Like employees, machines, or space. Second question is how much capacity is needed to match demand? As we simply say is that we are getting here the equilibrium of the capacity of the company and the demand of its product in order to get the highest rate of profit. Third question is when it is needed. So if we will have a scenario of we will be producing a 10 billion units in the next 5 years, it is not necessary to produce it in one day because in business, in when we were going to introduce our product in the market, we are going to start small to bigger capacity to able to meet the demand of the people in order to minimize the loss and getting the higher profit or being more profitable. Also, there are related questions that make sense about um, capacity planning, like knowing how much it will cost, what are the potential benefits and risks, are there sustainable issues, should the capacity be charged all at once through several smaller changes, and can the supply chain handle the necessary changes? These questions can be considered in better capacity planning. Capacity decision are strategic. What can we say about this is capacity decision is one of the important thing a company that may put priority because as in decision making in capacity, managers must be um not totally right but close to the being right of choosing the right capacity of the company. Because in a scenario, if you're going to buy a materials in a store and the store said that it is of out of stock and the seller are telling that it will be available soon or next week, are you going to go back there to the store and wait for 1 week while you can have it by just buying it in the other store? In that scenario, you are not just losing a customer, but you're also losing the credibility of the store or the company you are managing. On the other hand, if the company has having a overcapacity, it's making much more higher cost in producing products than gaining on sale. Like you cannot have profit on something that you cannot be sold. Next is defining and measuring capacity. Measures capacity in units do not require update. Why is measuring capacity in dollars problematic? We can see that dollar values are changing in years through inflation. So these dollars, euros, or other are currencies that can change on everyday basis. They are problematic, and we are looking for more stable or fixed variable that cannot make changes in our outcome, like number of cookies produced in a one day. Next here is the two useful definition of capacity. So first one is design capacity, the maximum output rate of service capacity, an operation process, or a facility designed for. It tells that in a specific machine it has a service capacity or a maximum output that can produce out of it. So if it can produce a thousand of cookies in one day, and if we will push through more than that, we cannot say that the machine will be possible be working on the other day because of it is being pushed through the limit. Next one is the effective capacity or design capacity minus allowance such as time and maintenance. So this is the more the reality type of using the machines. Next is the measuring system effectiveness. So here is the actual output, the rate of output actually achieved, or in it is the maximum capacity of the machine can produce. So actual output, it cannot exceed the effective capacity. You know why? Because it is the maximum capacity of the machines that are being produced, or it is the only number of machines that can produce in order to be effective in a real world situation. So there are two ways to measure the effectiveness of a system. First is the efficiency. Efficiency is equals to actual output divided by the effective capacity. While in the utilization, utilization is equals to actual output divided the designed capacity. So let's proceed to the capacity strategies. So there's only three capacity strategies, which is leading, following, and tracking. In leading, building capacity in anticipation of future demand increase. So when a manager thinks that it's gonna be 100 more units needed in the week or next week, it's just simply just need to order the capacity of 100. The risk here is maybe what if the manager is wrong and bring a such a deficit in the company. Next is the following, building when demand exceeds current capacity. This is the exactly opposite of the leading, because in the following, um, the managers are to waiting to demand more from them, and from there they are adding more capacity. The risk there is that mm, when the company decides to add more capacity, well, they need more time, because in adding capacity they need to train employees or buy more machines in order to make more capacity, and and by that time maybe the people doesn't um, need the product, or it is out of demand. The third one, capacity strategies, is the tracking, similar to the following strategy but adds capacity in a relative small increments to keep pace in increasing demands. In tracking, it is the most cost efficient, so most of the businesses are using tracking in their capacity planning. Capacity quotient. So in choosing a capacity strategies, Um, Capacity cushion is one thing that you may have because you never know when the market is going high in demand or a slow strike in demand. So we never know. In capacity quotient, extra capacity is used to offset demand uncertainty. So capacity quotient is equals to 100% less utilization. Capacity quotient strategy. Organizations that have greater demand uncertainty typically have the greater capacity quotient, and the other is organizations that have standard product and services generally have greater capacity quotient. Next are the steps in capacity planning. So these steps or these 8 steps are more on the common sense in planning capacity. So first is estimate the future capacity requirements. Like you'll be needing a 5,000 more cookies in the next week. So you have to evaluate the existing capacity facilities. So when you evaluate you see that it's only you can only add a capacity of a 4,000 cookies. So there are gaps. So you will and you will go to the step 3, which is identifying the alternatives for the requirements. So will you add more machines to fill up the gaps, or you're adding more capacity in the machines because you have a capacity quotient. So you will conduct financial analysis, which is more cost efficient. Is it buying the new machine or adding more capacity to the machines? Then you will assess key qualitative issues. Then you will select the best alternative for long term. So if you have chosen one, you must implement alternative chosen, then monitor the results in order to find out if you have chosen the right alternative or you have to change it for a better one. Next is the calculating processing requirements. So in calculating processing requirements requires reasonably accurate demand forecast, standards processing times, and available work time. So the formula for that is N or number of required machines. PI is equals to standard processing time for product, and TI is demand for product during the planning horizon, and T is for the processing time available during the planning horizon. Next is the optimal operating level. So the graph here shows in the left side the average cost per unit. So as the average cost per unit meets the optimal output rate, it's lowering the cost or it's hitting the minimum cost per unit. So for example, if I buy a machine worth 50,000 pesos that can produce cookies, if I make cookies, just one pieces of cookies out of it, it will cost me 50,000 pesos in production of that cookies. So if I produce more cookies out of it, the cost of the production of cookies is being lesser and lesser the more I make cookies, or when I meet the the maximum capacity of the machine. That totally makes sense. But when I decide that to make more cookies in the weekends, so they will say that it's okay, but you're gonna pay them more or time and a half more because it's weekend. So if you will see the graph, if you it will cost me more if I'm trying to make in the weekends because I pay more than the regular days of the week. It is the marginal cost that costs me more than I actually sell it. So if you want a cost efficient, you must always target the optimal output rate. So we are here in the economics and this economics of scale. So what I just said in the scenario is exactly the meaning of this, the economies of scale. If output rate is less than the optimal level, increasing the output rate result in decreasing average unit cost. Like if I produce more cookies, I I make it in less more cost. In this economies, if the output rate is more the optimum level, increasing the output rate results in the increasing average per unit cost. So when I decided to make cookies in the weekends, and it will pay me up half an hour more, that it costs more to me than what actually I can sell. So here I hope you see this in your economics class. So what you can see here is the cost volume relationship, um, which is where in the graph there is a certain point which is the break-even units, or the supplies meet the demand in the center, which is the break-even units, that tells that there is just enough product in the demand of the people. It just simply tells us that there is a maximum of units you can produce in order to cover up all the demands of the people. Operational strategy. So here is the last slides of my report. Capacity planning impact all areas of the organizations. It determines the condition under which operation will have functions. Flexibility allows an organization to be agile. It reduces the organization's dependence on forecast, accuracy, and reliability. Many organizations utilize capacity cushions to achieve flexibility. Bottleneck management is one way of which organization can enhance their effective capacities. Capacity expansion strategies are more important organizational considerations. Expand early strategy, wait and see strategy. Capacity construction is something necessary. Capacity disposal strategies become important under these conditions. So, in overall, the general strategic capacity planning is much more important to consider in a one who is starting a business or building a company. It is not just on acquiring machines or having employees, because there are a lot to consider, like on how you are being cost efficient, and also in terms that how can you be productive or meet the maximum capacity of the company, so you will able to meet the market's demand.